How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another Far Cry 5 map editor mod video. It's your friend FallenNinja, and today we are talking about something that's pretty cool, pretty neat. It's a brand new mod for Far Cry 5's map editor, and it's like in beta testing right now. It should be released pretty soon if it's not already released by now, by the time this video is uploaded. Let me start off by apologizing. I am recovering from a cold. I went on vacation. I don't know where I picked it up, but yeah, I have a cold and it's kind of going away. But my voice sounds funny, and also I'm coughing a little bit. So if I cough, I do apologize. This video won't be edited too heavily because I don't have enough time. However, I want to go through this mod and show you guys as much as I possibly can, just to kind of give you a taste, an idea of what you can do. First and foremost, let me say thank you to Steve64B. He is the creator of this mod, and I want to thank him for allowing me to test it out and take a look at it as he was working on it through the past few months, and also allowing me to show this to you guys ahead of time. I also want to say that I will have a map available pretty soon that's going to incorporate a lot of the features from this mod. However, that won't be probably for the next few weeks or so. Now, before we get started, thank you guys for liking my previous video a lot. It was the Far Cry 5 Top 5 Maps. I am working on the next one. However, it's taking me a little bit longer since I'm recovering from this cold. Also, on that video, we got about 40 likes. I want to push for 50 likes on this video. If you guys can help me out with that, it would be greatly appreciated. And let's go ahead and get started. So with this mod, the first thing you can do just before you start working on your map, so that you can have your things all set up properly, is you want to go over to the edit button on the menu on top, and you're gonna have 5 different options. One or two of these might be removed by the time the mod is released. However, for simplicity's sake, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about all 5 of these. The first one is mod more generic object and textures. What that pretty much means is whenever you grab a wall from your generic shapes, or a floor, or whatever the case might be. Let's see. Let's do indestructible. Let's do door. Place this bad boy down. Click on it, and then when you go over to your textures, you're going to have the factory textures from the game, or the vanilla textures, and a few additional ones, right? If you click away from the object and go back to that mod menu and click or enable that mod, you're going to get a message saying, hey, please read this. You're going to have, a longer loading time when it comes to loading up your textures. However, you're going to have a bunch more texture options. So let's check this out. Excuse me. I already clicked on it, and it's like almost crashing my editor. But as you can see, now I have like so many more options. It's like ridiculous. Like there's so many that I think most of these we don't even need, but the option is there for you to take advantage of. And if you can find creative ways to use some of these extra textures, please do so. I know I saw a few of them that I can like create sci-fi things that don't look normal with the regular options available. And as you saw there, my PC is very powerful. I have a 9700K with a 2080 Ti and 32 gigabytes of RAM, and just doing that makes my loading take quite a bit longer with the map editor. Just doing the that right there with the textures. For the most part, when I'm editing the map, excuse me, when I'm editing the map, I remove this option and only enable it if I'm looking for something special to add to one of my objects. So let's go ahead and disable that for now. Okay. The other one is tweak disable object highlighting. So whenever you click on an object, you see how the object turns yellow or a shade of green. Whenever you enable this mod object, it should. It doesn't always work. Oh, sorry, my camera is acting up. I don't know why. Whenever I record, okay, it's not working right now. I promise you it worked a few builds ago, but right now it's not working properly. But in theory, it will remove the ability for this object to glow like that. For now, I'm not too worried about it. The other one is extra info and validation. So if it's enabled right now, when I go over to the validation menu, you can see that it's going to give you the regular report. However, you're gonna have wave info, and then you'll get extra flags like this map may not be ported to console because there's validation issues, or whether you have mod objects and stuff like that. So whenever there's little extra things that are not normally in the editor, like modded objects, the validation tool will tell you this, so that you can keep your map, I guess, within scope of whatever your target is, whether it's a map that you make with the vanilla assets for all the consoles and PC, or just for the PC with all the mods enabled. And then we have tweak disable camera focus on double click. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off for now and show you what normally happens whenever you double click on an object. Or not. Let's see. For some weird reason it's not working right now, but normally whenever you double click on an object in the map editor, it will, like, the camera will like zoom in like such and like focus right on the object almost perfectly. With that enabled, it will disable that feature, because sometimes it can be kind of annoying that you just want to click on something but the camera just like flies over to it in a weird way. The other feature that's experimental at the moment is it will take objects and split them apart into different objects, or different chunks of the object. For example, there's some houses in this game that whenever you put them down, they will have furniture inside of them. Well, with that experimental feature, the furniture will be selectable and you can move it around however you see fit. Let me see if this is one of those houses. It's not. That's probably not one of them neither. I don't think this one is, even though there's books in it. Maybe this one? No, I don't think so. Let me see if I can find a house real quickly without taking up too much of your time. Once again, I do apologize. I am a bit under the weather. I'm recovering from a cold. It's a really tough one, and I know I sound funny and probably really annoying to hear me cough on the microphone. Okay, this is a good example. Now, this is experimental, like it says on the description, so it might not work. It worked a few times for me. However, there were some times where it just wouldn't behave like it should. So there you go. So now this object is multiple objects. So the way you do this is excuse me, you place an object down that you know for a fact, like a house that has furniture around it and inside of it. You place the object down, you highlight it by clicking on it. Sorry, my mouse is acting really crazy, I don't know why. And then you click edit, and then you click on the experimental break apart grouped object, and then it becomes multiple objects instead of just being one. This is really cool for us being able to grab some pre-made houses real quickly that we know has furniture in it, and we don't want it to look all the same, but we want to move some stuff around, maybe move the bed from one spot to another, or delete the bed, or whatever the case might be. This is great for that, so you can delete some parts if you want to. Unfortunately, we can't do the other way around, where we can group objects. Maybe in the future, I'm not sure, but at least for now, this is good to have, better than nothing. And it works throughout the entire house. You can remove the roof and everything, so it's pretty neat. And it works only on certain objects, not all of them. However, I think it's really cool that we have this feature available to us, and I'm very grateful. This is funny. I clicked on remove. I clicked on the experimental, and it removed the texture on this wall. Anyways, pardon me. Let's go over to the other features we have in this mod, which is the objects. We're going to have a list of about 800, maybe 900 different debris objects. A bunch of new content. Right now we're looking at 14,000. Most of these right here are going to be transparency. They say transparency, but it's more like they have no clip. So you can walk through them If that makes any sense. If you look at the little name, they have a little ghost next to it. That means that you can walk through. The object, and this is really good if you want to have a vehicle down that's one of the nice looking cars, not the generic crappy ones. You want to have a nice looking car, but you don't want players to drive it. What you do is, and I'm going to show you an example of this, is you place the transparent or the vehicle that you can walk through. You place it down like such, and then you put the invisible barrier or the invisible wall around it. That way, players can have a nice looking car in their map. However, nobody will be able to walk through it or drive it because the car is not really there. The mesh is, but the actual collision and the object itself, the way it normally behaves, is not there. So you can't even pop the tires or anything. So that's something that we really need. I know a lot of guys complain about that, especially on console. This mod is only for PC. However, I'm sure there's going to be a few tricks that some of you guys will be able to do when it comes to porting the map over to console and letting other players use those assets that you already have. Excuse me. Let's go back to a new map. This mod also removes the validation requirement. However, we strongly recommend that whenever you're making a map, you still stick to the validation when it comes to object clipping, player clipping, bad scripting and such. You don't, like, the map will still upload even if it's broken. However, that can cause issues with your map and it might get lost in the servers. We do want to warn you with that. Another thing that we're looking at is you're going to have some meshes of characters that you can place down. These again are just going to be animated meshes that won't really do much. I'm pretty sure we have birds, we have characters. Some of them are going to have the control zones and spawning options. However, some of them are just going to be like animations that won't have any collision. Some of these don't have collisions, and these don't really work right. However, you can use this for, I don't know, like if you want to have like a cutscene or a character you can talk to and such. That's going to be it for that. We also have the ready to spawn in AI. This is being worked on. It might actually be removed because it breaks the editor. So typically we have all these AIs that we normally can't use. We try to use them in the mod to have them spawn in with a script without it being limited to only 15 characters that you can spawn in. However, whenever we place these down, they tend to break the map. So if we can't get this figured out, it's going to get removed by the time the editor launches. However, the characters that you normally can't use within the regular NPC menu will probably be added on there. So don't worry about the characters being missing. However, them being in the object menu might not be a thing in the future. So just letting you guys know about that for now. When it comes to gameplay, we have a bunch of collectibles you can use, like intel, nature provides, objects. We're going to have interactive objects like shops that you can use. We are working on trigger, like interact buttons with trigger, and this is something that I had an idea with, and of course Steve had the idea also. The guy's a genius. This right here is a look at trigger. Oh, I think I lost it. And this one here is a hatch. So let's look at these real quickly, kind of see what they do. I've messed with a few of these, but they all kind of behave differently. Okay, so this one, I don't know if you guys saw me place it down earlier. It's like a little switch. Excuse me. What you do is you place it down so that it blocks a look at trigger. You know, the one that you use whenever you see something. It blocks it. And then whenever the player takes it, or takes whatever, you know, the action, he clicks on the button, it removes that object that's blocking it. Even though we can't see it here on the screen, it's still there until you pick it up or you take it. And then that look at trigger can be activated by looking at it because it will sit right behind that object. I think that's really awesome. This one, in my opinion, is better because it actually says interact instead of take. But the way this one works is the hatch with the pink outline is pretty much going to block your look at trigger the same way. Once you interact with it, it disappears. So once it disappears, then whatever script you have running that's activated with the look at will activate. Part of the hatch is still there, but it's just invisible. You just want to delete it if you can with the script. So you would want to unspawn that hatch. But as soon as you activate it, it opens up automatically, and then that look at trigger runs, and it's awesome because you can place this behind walls that are invisible, or you can place this behind things that. Let me show you an example of this. It's actually a great idea to make a quick tutorial with this. So I'm going to delete this one, right? They're both going to be the same way, essentially. So let's go ahead. I'm going to show you this one first, this little one here. This one's super easy to mess with. So I'm going to place this right here. Excuse me. And then I'm going to go to scripting, script, place the script down. As you see, the script now has this little object behind it. It's only to give you a little bit of help if you lose your script, because sometimes it gets kind of hard to find. This little icon gets hard to find. You just click on that right there, and you'll grab the script automatically. So I'm going to add an action. Another thing with the mod is you can add up to 100 actions. And we also have additional actions. So you have the regular ones, but you also have, which is force equip weapon. So there's a weapon on the ground or somewhere in the map. You can force the player to use that weapon. Update target count. So in maps where there's a kill count, you can use this to change the value of that. It doesn't really do anything on the back end. It's mostly just on the front end. Change HUD objective. This actually lets you take the little objective on the HUD that appears on the top left corner when you're playing the map. It's a little bit tricky, but I'll have a tutorial on that later on. Lock player input. It's pretty cool because this one actually locks the player from moving or even having his hands out. So it'd just be like him sitting there in a spot, and you can, show him text or something, make a little cutscene or whatever you want to do. And then finally, unlock player input. These two have to work together. So whenever you have a script that has lock player input, it has to have an unlock player input. Otherwise, you're gonna get a red flag on that map validation. So for this one, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spawn in. I'm gonna spawn an object. No, not spawn. I'm gonna unspawn an object. Right. Pick the object, and I'm gonna pick this bad boy right here. And then with this one, it's so easy because you gotta do is grab the script 4, and in theory, so sometimes when you're working on different versions of this mod, some things that work in one mod version don't work in the next. I don't know if that makes any sense. I've had things like some of the options up here and things that work on one version, the next version they don't, for whatever reason. I know this worked last time I tested it out, but let me just verify that it works now. So as soon as I interact with this take right here, this bad boy should disappear. There you go. So that's pretty awesome. See, it's like magic. It's like super easy to use. However, if you find that you don't like it to say take, you want it to be more, I don't know, you want it to say something else instead, what you can do, right? I'm gonna put 2 of these. I'm gonna delete this trigger. We're gonna change the unspawn to this hatch. And then I'm going to grab myself a look at trigger. So you want to go over to scripting. Pardon me. Trigger, look at. My camera is going all crazy. And I want to just go ahead and make sure that this bad boy see this little ball right here, because I'll let you know how big it is. I want to put it, let's see. Alright, so they're both kind of like working together. Okay. So I want to put this bad boy right above that look at trigger. Okay. And then I want to link that look at trigger to the script. Okay. And now let's run the map. So you want to make sure that it works. It's gonna work. I've done it a bunch of times. Boom. This one disappeared. So I like it because it says interact. So it's a bit. It makes more sense whenever you're playing the map. I know the other one's easier when you're creating the map, but a way that you can make this obviously not look this ugly is you want to grab this, right? You want to flip it over. Maybe put it on the wall somewhere, like such. And then you want to grab a wall. Excuse me. And since you have these walls that are invisible now, or they don't have any clipping, what happens is when the wall doesn't have any clipping, like for example like this wall right here, that means that there's no collision, therefore you can look at the trigger through the wall because there's no collision on this wall whatsoever. And then let's say I want to add a lever to this. Or let me add a switch. I know the switches look better. I'd rather have the switch be invisible. Or maybe just this light right here. Yeah, this light works. Come on, game. Rotate this bad boy so that it's facing the right direction. Now the only downside to these invisible walls and objects that don't have any collision or clipping is that they cannot be unspawned or spawned in. Keep that in mind. Whenever you place an object that has no collision, you cannot spawn it in or despawn it, unfortunately. However, I mean, this is pretty awesome. See how right there it just says interact. I interacted, as far as the player knows, he interacted with this little button here, and then boom, that's gone. That's pretty awesome. The player can put a light here that's different color. I've done that before where a light would change or a little spotlight would appear there that's green over this red light, and it'll give the player some sort of indication that they've done that event, or maybe even add like a sound effect. So that's pretty awesome. Like that's just like the beginning of what you can start doing with this mod tool. There's a bunch of other stuff. Let's go over some of them real quickly. That part of me won't take too long. All of the new objects that we're gonna have are gonna be mixed in with the regular menu. So you see how I clicked on Far Cry 5? You have the original objects, and then you have the new content objects. Like this bad boy here, it seems to be missing. I don't know why I can't see it. Okay, there's actually a puddle there. Hard to see, but there's a puddle there. You can add, there's a bunch of different guns. It's just a bunch of stuff, man. You just want to search for everything here. And like I said, we want to create thumbnails for everything, but there's a lot of stuff that needs to get like I want to say erased, because there's a lot of repeating stuff that we don't want to have just like everything repeating itself. But again, due to time and player interest and map developer interest, that's all that's going to dictate what we do. Because Steve he worked very hard on this, and I'm so grateful, and I'm sure you guys are too. And I helped him with some of the thumbnails, but I'm like, God bless, it's a lot of objects, and a lot of players are not playing this game anymore like I wish they would, to be honest with you guys. So all these crazy like parts of houses available as well that you can use. Let's see, let's close this down. Ready to spawn in. We also have environments that you can spawn in, so we can spawn in like a bunch of these right here. You don't have to use just one. You can do this one, here, this one here as well. If you hold down control, if you hold down control, you can rotate him around like this, and you can place it so you can have like a really nice looking landscape or cityscape around you. You can like have a full surrounding of buildings covering your map instead of it being like a few sparse buildings the way it normally is. If you hold shift and control, if I'm not mistaken, no, not shift and control, there's another hotkey for this. Yeah, if you hold alt and control, you can like rotate it freely. It's kind of jittery and messy, but if you can do some stuff with it, but it's not easy to control. There's no other way to do this, unfortunately. You can grab the item after you place it down, and you'll find this little box right here that pretty much correlates to one of these cityscapes. As you can see, there's very little movement whenever you move these. However, abusing the pivot point, you're able to do a lot more with it, but you can still rotate them like this. Right now I have 90 degrees enabled, so that's why it's kind of like crazy. But think about all the cool stuff you can make now, and you can save on memory if you want to make like a destroyed, city using these for your backdrop instead of actually placing a bunch of buildings. Same thing goes for the sky. You can place multiple different skies. They do bug out if you place too many. So, for example, I'm gonna place this one here, right? And if I go on ahead and try to place another sky, there's a high chance that they'll clip through each other, and then you see weird artifacts on the sky. Like let's see if I can show you guys like that. That looks pretty bad. So you want to avoid that if you want to make a good looking map. However, if you want to make some crazy like nightmare world, go for it. It's all up to you, really. It's your map. And you can also move these to kind of touch the boundary, which is really awesome. So you can have your map look pretty endless, as opposed to seeing that drop out that you normally do see. So yeah, this video is pretty long. I want to end it soon, but I don't want to skip on anything. I might have to make a part 2. Let's go over quickly to the audio and visual. In the visual, I don't know if you can see that it's like 7,000, almost 8,000 objects, and they're all going to be in effects. There are a lot of effects that you can add now to your map. However, most of these do not have a preview. Most of these do not have a thumbnail, so you have to kind of go through them manually and kind of see if they work, how they work, and such, because there's just so many of them. But some of them are really cool that you can try to implement into your map. And one of the coolest one, I want to say, it's going to be the nuclear bomb or the nuclear blast that you get from the ending of the campaign. I want to say you just search for atomic. You're going to find different variations of the nuclear blast. So this right here is called nuclear hero atomic debris, I think. And this one's actually one of my favorite ones because it has like a constant like bunch of like debris flying out. So I'm working on the map where there's an airplane crash, and right when you spawn in, excuse me, you're gonna have all this debris flying out the airplane as the airplane is falling, quote unquote. You have this one, which is like a bunch of dust flying everywhere. And this one is actually pretty interesting because it actually kind of follows the camera. So whenever you move your position, you see it'll like turn around and try to hit me in the face. See, this is pretty good because it's kind of persistent no matter where you're at. Nuclear debris. So this is more flying paper, which is a little bit of a slower pace. There's one for the explosion. Where is it? Where's the explosion? I don't see it. Maybe underneath. Oh, there. So look, this one's like a big like fireball, smoke patch flying through, and I think that one just stays like going through nonstop. This one is like the explosion going off. See that? It's one of those far explosions from the nuclear blast, and it's pretty slow too. Some of them have sound effects, some of them don't, so you have to add in the sound effects manually. But come on, it's more than what we have now for nuclear explosions. I know some of the guys on the consoles has made some really awesome looking explosions, or mushroom clouds in the map editor. This way you don't have to do none of that hard work, and it does look better here, but it's not as impressive whenever somebody else goes in and does it by hand using a bunch of random objects and such. And I mean, some of these explosions are huge. There was one in particular that took up like most of the screen. I'm not seeing it here though. Oh, look at that one. That was pretty. Look at this bad boy. So as you can see, you know, there's a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of, pardon me, there's a lot of just explosions and special effects and gunshot wounds and dust and particles and wood flying everywhere, and just like a bunch of stuff that you can just play with and find the ones that you like and put them in your map. Some of them are looping, which means that they'll constantly keep going, so they'll never end. Some of them only play whenever you launch the map, so you really got to decide what you want to put down there. However, I mean, there's so many options that honestly I don't know why a lot of these are not available from the get-go. It's not my game, so I can't say much more than that. Let's go over to the AI tool. It's loading up. Like I said, this mod, it's pretty intensive, so not everybody's gonna be able to run this, to be honest with you. Or you can run it, but it won't be super clean. We have a bunch of new characters added on here. You can tell because they're gonna have a different background on their thumbnail than some of the other characters. And they all should be available in both allies and enemies, and I think most of them are available in neutral as well. So or not neutral, but allies and enemies. So you have a lot of new options in all different categories. You have, like I said earlier, you're gonna have a bunch of the characters that are from the campaign available in this menu now. See, like the marshal, the trader, the marshal, he's going to be available. A lot of the NPCs that you've seen throughout the game you're going to run into, like Shirtless, this guy, I forgot his name, I don't know why. They're all going to be here for you to interact with and put them in your map. Some of them will talk, like when you go up to them they'll have like a prompt that you can talk, and they'll say whatever they're supposed to say in the game. It's not intended to be for the map editor, but we still left them on there. Like I said, I didn't make the mod. I just worked on it as far as testing went, and as far as creating some of the thumbnails and ideas, and just overall, you know, just giving my opinion really. And I'm grateful that I was allowed to do this by Steve64B, and it's an awesome work that he's done. I mean, this is almost like a year after the game's been released, and it's probably the biggest content update you're going to get for this game. There's so many other objects and stuff that I can go over, but I feel like I should probably make tutorials for each and one of these. I'm going to leave the video here, guys. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you want more, please hit that notification button on the top of the screen. See you in the next one. Peace.